Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your regular injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 371 now, and as always, we're joined by Rob. How are you, Rob?
Mate, it seems like it's the right time to catch a cold, and so that's what I've done. First cold of the season. So I'm going to apologise to listeners if I sound A, nasal, B, a bit husky. I'm hoping it's not going to get any worse, but so if you hear me sniffing or potentially blowing my nose in the background, I will try and turn my mic off to do that. But just want to put that caveat out there to begin.
I feel, Rob, like, I've known you a long time, and I don't think I've ever known you have as many of these sorts of cold, flu type things as you have this year, and I can only attribute that. The only change, as far as I can see in your circumstances, is your daughter. And I would start putting together some sort of running tally of roughly. I think some compensation should be owed to you for this when she reaches working age, and you can sort of say, "Listen, just to let you know, you did pass on a lot of ailments to me," and
I mean, that would be completely fair, but I have to say to her, in her defence this time round, it wasn't her. She hasn't had this. It was Sarah that managed to pick this cold up and has given it to me. So, it wouldn't be under this particular circumstance to raid Lyra's savings account for the money I'm rightly owed.
Well, in which case, Rob, I think divorce is reasonable.
Well, I mean, there's a few steps before that. I won't say what they are, but I've got a plan in place, Alex. Don't worry about that. Now,
Rob, we have both remembered, in fact, to be fair, you remembered, I'd completely forgotten, that this episode is the oft-promised listener story special, which really should have been 370 and probably would have made more sense.
Yeah.
But it's 371. We have remembered. We love it when we get to do our listener story special. So every week we always have a listener story featured, but we get so many stories submitted that every once in a while we get a backlog, and we have to have a sort of irrigation. And this is the equivalent. This is our colonic irrigation. It's a metaphor.
Yeah. I don't want to say it gets all the shit out, because it doesn't, because the stories we get submitted are always a top draw. Just before we begin, Alex, I have a small bone to pick with you. And it's in relation to the last episode.
Can you just pick your own small bone, please?
Don't pick it, stroke it gently. So we covered on that podcast a story. Well, you covered a story on the podcast about a seagull that was covered in curry sauce, if you remember.
Yeah.
Did you mention that it was from 2019?
No. There are two stories. As I said on the podcast.
Yeah, there were two stories I mentioned. You're right, there were two stories. One was from 2019 about the seagull covered in curry. And then the other story that you mentioned was from 2016 about a seagull that had broken into like a curry factory in Wales.
No, I think you're wrong.
And the reason... Well, but by all means, bring the story up. And the reason why I question it, because when I'm posting the episode...
2019. Yeah, I thought I mentioned it on the podcast, didn't I?
No.
Oh, okay.
And also, the reason I bring it up is I think we've covered that story before, Alex. I think we've covered it twice.
No, the one we covered before was the one about the seagull falling into the vat of curry, as I mentioned. And I challenge look, we've got people out there who listen to every episode religiously. I still wish we had a database of the back catalogue. Somebody can clear this up for us, Rob. Well,
look,
I don't want us to fall out.
The reason I mention it is because I was looking for, because sometimes I like to find I try to come up with.
You're mentioning it because you're petty.
No.
Vindictive.
The reason I mention it is because I was looking. I like getting the exact wordings, and I play around with the wordings for the headlines for the episode. And apparently, I'd visited that site before, that exact page,
right,
as it came up in my search history. And I was thinking,
sorry, how long do you keep your bloody search history for, Rob?
Well, it's on my work laptop, Alex. I must admit, I don't probably, there's not a need to delete it like on a daily basis like my personal one. I've visited that page before, and I haven't done that story, so I'm concerned we may have done a story twice.
Can I just ask, Rob? Okay. Again, any sort of really avid listeners to this podcast, can you please clear up for us what has gone on here? Rob, I feel like I'm the only person who's like today is a much colder day. We are going through a cold snap at the moment. But you're there sitting in a t-shirt, and I feel like what's going on?
The heating's on full, Alex.
Oh right, no, is it?
No, it's not on. No. Luckily, this house is actually quite. It tends to retain the heat quite well, so it's not actually that cold.
Right. I'm not saying I'm not freezing or anything, but I did think today I'm going to wrap up warm.
It is notably different. I think this is the first day in probably about 5 months that I normally take Lyra to nursery in just a pair of shorts, not just a pair of shorts. Obviously, that would raise some questions. But I actually felt I had to put a pair of trousers on this time. Again, just want to make it clear that I do wear other things, not just trousers. But I felt there was need to.
I started wearing jeans a few days ago, Rob. I think the shorts weather is gone now, mate.
Yeah. I think Monday might have been pushing it. Tuesday wasn't too bad. Was I wearing shorts on Tuesday? Yeah, I was.
Tuesday and Wednesday was all right. But I mean, it's a notice. Anyway, look, sorry, we're getting boring here. British people talking about weather. Rob, is there any news?
I don't think there is, actually. No, I think there's a few bits. Oh, yeah, of course there's news. What am I talking about? So, Face of Strange has been at it again.
Nothing illegal, we should point out.
No, God, no. I need to repost actually because you posted it into the Facebook group. I still need to share the link to that. Keep forgetting to do that as well. But I'm assuming that someone had. It was obviously a picture of someone who has been to Primark recently to spend some of their hard-earned money on
let's call it.
Greg's outfit.
Greg's Lux. That's what it is, Rob.
Greg's Lux, yeah. And Face Strange has very kindly photoshopped my face onto it.
I have to say,
the guy's body is a lot better than mine.
There's something terrifying about that picture, and I'm not sure why. You look deranged. You look something out of the League of Gentlemen. Can I? Have you put it on the Facebook page? Are you going to put it on Twitter as well? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe do that.
I will share it on both, and maybe I'll include both Greg's and Primark into the tweet. That can go out this evening. Thank you, Face Strange. And one thing I do need to do, again, something that I've been meaning to do and just haven't done. So I have my own personal Face of Strange album, which I need to put that on the face. I might try and do that this evening. I might create the Face of Strange local aesthetic album of all his artwork. It
is absolutely. Oh no, we should definitely do that. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Maybe as well you could create, I don't know, one of those Google albums, photo albums, and put a link to it on the website so somebody can go and have a look.
I've already done that. I mean, I've got my own album. I'm happy to link people to it if that's easier. I'll see if I'll get a sharing link and I'll stick it on there so people can see.
Yeah. Any other news, Rob?
No, we can carry on.
Well, okay. Maybe I should start then, actually. We'll listen to a story special with a story from Face of Strange. That he submitted to us. It's from the Manchester Evening News. Do we know where Face of Strange is based, or is he an enigma? Does nobody really know?
I don't really know. I could take an educated. It's not an educated guess at all. I have a feeling it's kind of Nottinghamshire, but that is pure speculation.
Right. Okay. Well, this is by George Lithgow. What's that actor's name? Famous
John Lithgow from
John Lithgow. That's it. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, from Third Rock from the Sun and other things.
And other things. It's from the 12th of August, so a while ago now, I must say. But this is what happens. This is part of what's coming out. It's coming out first in the irrigation, Rob. Headline: Man put up his own parking blockade to stop parents pulling up near his house with neighbours at war.
Brilliant.
Now, I've got some, what's the phrase, skin in the game in this, to the extent that I live on a residential street, but it has at the end of it, there is on part way down the road, there is a school and a nursery, actually. But I don't really, the road that I'm on is one of these ones that is busier. It can get quite busy with people doing school drop-offs and things like this, and I've often fantasized about kind of various things I could do to deter traffic on the road. Not going to mention what they are because they may well come to fruition, Rob. But you do feel like the problem is, Rob, is that all roads are in effect public highways. They don't belong to me or you. And it's really not our job to stop people travelling down them. But this man, Rob, has taken it into his own hands and decided, no, it is his job.
I mean, Alex, I could argue that we're diligent taxpayers, and our taxes go to pay the how to say this, the lazy local authorities of this country. I would argue that yes, we do in some ways contribute to the highways and byways of this country.
I haven't paid tax since 2006.
Yeah, well, I know that, but I don't want to make that public on the podcast.
Unfortunately, that's not true, listeners. I have no choice. I would have no choice because I'm not self-employed, and it comes automatically out of my pay packet and everything else.
That is a lie. This vehicle's a way for Alex to avoid paying tax. We are technically based in the Cayman Islands.
Live from the Cayman Islands. I'd love that, Rob. That'd be great. Anyway, let's get to the story. Thank you, Face of Strange, for submitting this. A man who put an awful, in quotes, blockade on the road in front of his house is now scheming new ways to deter people from parking on his street after his homemade measures were removed. Derek Woodacre, great name, has been battling with parents doing the school drop-off at Moseley Common St John Primary School for years, as he believes they shouldn't be parking on his street. The 65-year-old has even been in conflict with his neighbours over this issue, with one saying the blockade could have prevented emergency vehicles and bin men getting through. Derek has become notorious on Commonside Road as a result of this battle that's been going on for almost 3 years. It has led Rob to fights, vandalism, complaints, and huge financial cost, according to Derek.
Right. Do they? I think the question is always in this situation: are they blocking his drive specifically? Can he still gain access? I'm assuming, or do we know that?
Yeah, it's not about his drive. I think he just doesn't want people on the road. He says, I've moved here 5 years ago. This is an unadopted road, so the council's not responsible for it. Right? When I moved in, I thought, what the hell is this? The first week, I saw a lot of people parking from the school. I felt a lot of abuse from parents when I told them they couldn't park there. We have to pay to repair the road. It costs thousands. I met every resident on the road, and they told me all about the problems. There have been assaults and property damage, and we wanted to get this sorted. This was in terms of trying to stop people parking here. I said, this is not acceptable. There's no point repairing the road if we can't stop people parking here. People who were walking past them were admiring them. They were saying, wow. When he says that, he means his blockade, Rob. He kind of speaks in this sort of stream of consciousness. Let me describe what he's put up. First of all, let's describe his house, which is, shall we say, eccentric. Maybe you should bring up this story so we can both kind of describe it. So it's a Manchester Evening News story. And the headline is, man put up his own parking blockade. So let's describe the blockade first. When you get to the story, Rob, it'll be the first picture as you scroll down. I mean, really know how to describe it.
Right, yeah, okay.
So if you scroll down, you'll see the parking blockade, right? Which he's obviously...
yeah, right.
So he's basically put
Alex,
you know those... He's put plots of plant pots, that is how I describe it. But he's also bought his own road signs, Rob, about 10 miles an hour, saying it's a no-through road. He's put all those up himself. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
I like the flag. The flag's nice. I was that again. Maybe this is just me, but when you said it was an adopted road, I immediately thought you meant like a private road, so it's going to be like a really fancy estate. This is just a row of terraced houses next to a park, Alex.
Yeah, and if you scroll down, there's another picture of his house.
Right. Alex, he's definitely all out for the Ukraine. By the looks of it, there's a lot of blue and yellow.
But he's also a big fan of gnomes, and he's painted some of the gnomes in the Ukraine colours, and there's a big sign that says Gnome Man's Land. And there's lots of gnomes everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. So this man is mental.
But he said the council, which is Wigan Council, tried to force me to remove the stuff from the highway 2 months ago. This is when I got the notice. Then it was July 19th when they came to remove it. Where that leaves me now is that I was happy to have the money gained from selling the stuff used in the blockade. So basically he's saying that all the stuff he used to cobble together the blockade, he's now sold. So he's got some money for it. The technical writer, what's the technical writer, Rob? Does it mean technically he's a writer, but they don't really think he's very good?
No, I think a technical writer, so basically he writes things like technical diagrams. I think that's what a technical writer is.
Technical writer. Anyway, the technical writer, that was
the lesser known Beatles song.
Yeah. The technical writer is an avid collector and managed to come across planters which he put on the road alongside the speed restrictions to give them weight but he says he didn't get the money from the other residents for his plans. And from then on, went solo in his ambitions. Like I say, this article is appallingly written. I think this person is technically a writer or a journalist, but not really. But his neighbours, Rob, have a different opinion on the matter. Many on the street do not believe the parking is too bad and see Derek as the problem, not the parents at the school. So, Ruby Howard, who has lived on Commonside Road all over her life, believes that Derek's passion has led him to go too far. She explained that his shenanigans in the early hours have given people sleepless nights. This is her quote, Rob. Originally, our road is unadopted. We own up to halfway on the road to the middle of the street, and we have the school at the end. For 16 years, we've always had a back and forth with the school. We all paid for it to be resurfaced, the parents driving up and down, and he took it upon himself to put barriers in. That has led to abuse arguments with parents. I can't work out if this is badly written or if this is just how people in Wigan talk. This has led to abuse arguments with parents. What the hell's an abuse argument? I mean, I can put two and two together, but it's not a common phrase.
No.
He buys and sells for a living, and he started using the space to leave his stuff. It looked awful. I contacted the council and have been... so basically, he hoards stuff and sells it on, and because he'd run out of storage, he just dumped it on the street and called it a blockade. Clever.
You say clever, Alex. I mean, it's lazy is what it is. It also implies he doesn't really care about the street because he just dumped all his old shit in the middle of the road.
She contacted the council and she said, I've been trying to get it removed for 2.5 years. It got to the point where emergency vehicles and bin men couldn't get through. Once he was told to remove the plate, he started to dig the pothole even more. What does she mean once he'd been told to remove the plate? I don't know what that means. But then he started to dig the pothole even more. It's been stressful. People on the street have sleepless nights. So because there was a pothole on the road and his argument was, I'm looking at it now, that, they'd have to pay a lot. He dug the pothole even worse to make it look worse than it was, but he was doing this, Rob, in the middle of the night.
Alex, again, can I just say, by the way, that mental is a technical term. I know these things because I'm a technical writer, but this man is mental. Also, was it him who, because obviously I still got the story up, was it him who then put this really weird, unhappy smiley face with an arrow pointing to graffiti?
Yes, none of it makes any sense. She finishes, Rob, by saying at first he was all right and wanted to help with the road, but I think he got a bit too passionate. He sacked everyone off and wanted to do his own thing. Another neighbour who wanted to remain anonymous, Rob, gave an insight into what it has been like living next to Derek. She said, he started first by tackling the parking by the school. He puts gas canisters in the road. That's not safe.
No. Okay, I'm getting concerned now, Alex. I'll be honest.
Rob, what I'm concerned about, Rob, I'm sorry to say this, is the general intellectual ability and levels of literacy of the people of Wigan. This quote, but if this journalist is quoting people correctly, this is how people talk. I'm just going to read it. He started first by tackling the parking by the school. He puts gas canisters in the road. It is minutes they are there, dropping people off. People understand and would rather children get in school safely. I mean,
gibberish.
I'm not asking for the Queen's English, Rob, but
no.
He has blocked the road before, has fights with neighbours, his mouth is disgusting. Police and council were here for hours when it was getting removed. The legislation on this road is so old, people don't want the stress of this. People have never done this on the road. He wants the attention. He made the hole bigger. Not a euphemism. He's known in the area. He said he's going to antagonise the whole street. It's draining. I've never known anything quite like it.
Okay, yeah, I can hear that. Obviously, the neighbours are very frustrated with him.
Right, Rob. Do you want to hear the next paragraph?
Please.
The opposition from authorities and his neighbours will not deter Derek, though. He has big plans for the future. He is even looking to memorialise one of his favourite locations in the world, Lake Como in Italy.
What?
I have more plans in the future, Derek says. The pothole now, I'm going to make it into Lake Comonside instead of Lake Commonside.
Alec, I just want to clarify. This man is not mentally ill. He is definitely of sound mind, right? Because this is not the actions of a normal man.
I think the man is of sounder mind than the journalist who hasn't written this in a way to prepare you for the next thing coming. What do you mean? What's they got to do with this story anyway? That he's memorialising. What does it even mean, memorialising Lake Como? He says, I've upset enough people. I just don't care now. I don't know where this leaves me with the neighbours now. This just makes me more determined to carry on. Paul Barton, Director for Environment at Wigan Council, said following this issue being reported, we've worked with the resident to resolve the situation. The structures were removed with the support of the resident on July 19th. We're grateful to residents for reporting issues to us, and we encourage this. And a spokesman for Greater Manchester Police said, I can confirm that around 8:30am on July 19th, officers received a report of a breach of the peace on Commonside Road, Worsley, A man had blocked the road and obstructed drivers. Officers and the council attended the scene and removed all obstacles. Sorry, Rob, you want to say something? There's a lot of comments on this story, by the way.
I can imagine there is. One question. So just going back to the pictures of his front garden. So on the left-hand side, what the fuck is that massive blue thing?
Yeah,
is that
I know.
just a length of pipe?
Yeah, I wondered that.
I mean, it is enormous.
Yeah, not a euphemism.
No.
Now, Rob, I need to read some of the comments. Now, we're straying into legally dodgy territory here. These are not our words. These are the words of the commenters. And presumably,
yes,
one of the commenters knows this man, and he's making some, quite significant allegations. These were posted 15 days ago. They haven't been taken down, so I feel I can report them. Mank187 says, this is the guy that assaults teenage girls and threatens women with their children. Don't let him fool you. He thinks he can bully women like all men like him. His time will come.
Right.
I don't know if I don't know if that's posted on the wrong. I don't know if that's posted on the wrong story or if it is about this man. But either way, we would say those are allegations, and they are obviously at this stage unfounded.
Yes.
C Johnson 84 just simply says, off his nut. Two Jugs. Great name, by the way. Two Jugs.
Love that.
Says, just a sad man with nothing else better to do than upset his neighbours and disrupts everyone's life. Go in Lake Como if you like it so much.
Yes. Agreed.
Peaky Blinder 1 says, what a first-class Whopper burger. Again, that's how people in this area of the world, Rob, speak. Northern Power says, what an absolute fucking ham shanker. Needs culling. I don't know what ham shanker is, Rob, but presumably it's some kind of insult.
Well, do you know what, Alex? You said that, and I thought, I'm feeling slightly aroused. I'd like to know what a ham shanker is.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. Yeah, she gave him a quick hand shanker.
A nice ham shanker. Yeah.
To be fair, this is true as I've learnt to my cost. Derek, sort your head out. It's not like it's all day. You live next to a school. What do you expect? Well, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fair enough.
Alex, I look forward to seeing his recreation of the lake.
And so, just sorry, last comment. Again, I don't know if it's a literacy issue or if this is deliberate. Senile just says, Menkel elf issues. Oh, I see, like Menkel elf issues. Right. I don't. Right, Rob, let's move swiftly on. Now, Rob.
Yeah.
We have a very long time loyal listener. Been with us for a long time now, Steve. But Steve, as well as being a listener, Rob, works for the podcast. He is our Eagle Heights roving reporter, is he not?
Correct, yes, he is.
And because you and I have become, well, let's be honest, too lazy to keep checking up on the comings and goings at Eagle Heights, for any of our new listeners, I always try and do this because otherwise it's going to be maybe a bit harder to keep up. Rob and I have been doing this podcast for 12 years, is it, Rob?
12 years, yes. 12 years.
Fucking hell. 12 years. And all the way back...
No, hang on. No, 10 years.
10 years.
No, 10 years, not 12 years. Yeah, 2012 we started, Alex. It's only 2022.
10 years.
10 years.
Did we celebrate the 10-year anniversary? Yes. Yes, we did.
Can't remember. Probably. Hopefully you did.
Right. In our fifth episode was when Rob and I first started covering Eagle Heights, and we've been covering it ever since. It's a safari park, and in the loosest definition of the term, in Ainsford, in Kent, in England, for any of our international listeners. And basically, I had a whole collection of stories that I'd managed to find, and we did this special 1.5 hour episode where Rob did about 45 minutes of a story, which was also extraordinary. And then I just did Eagle Heights stories that sort of escalated up in severity and basically culminated in, it's like they'd lose an eagle, something else would happen, and it ended with somebody being attacked by a cheetah. Somebody'd come to the zoo for a fun day out being attacked by a cheetah. And the man who ran Eagle Heights, who was sort of ex-military, was sort of in complete denial of the sort of significance of this.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've ever laughed as much as we did. That's From the Valley to the Abyss, episode 5. I think it's the second half. And sometimes, Rob, if I ever want cheering up, I just go back and listen to a segment of that where you and I are just unable to stop laughing, and it reminds me that all is well in the world.
Yeah.
So this is by Charlotte Phillips from the Kent Online. Thank you, Steve, for doing your job so diligently. It's from September the 1st. Headline: Animal Wildlife Foundation Eagle Heights in Ainsford defends husky mistreatment claims.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're not laughing, by the way.
Do you know what?
Yeah, go on.
I generally thought we'd moved away from this, Alex. I thought, I thought they were under new management. I thought the things they were looking up. I mean, they very recently got a Shetland pony.
The other thing people should know is that the original founder and owner of Eagle Heights, a man called Alan Ames, one of the interesting twists in this story is he disappeared off to the Gambia in Africa, where he set up another safari park there, and I think left Eagle Heights in ownership of his son. Do his son or sons? Do the sons still run it, as far as we know?
I think he does. I can't remember what his name is, but I think he does still run it. I mean, we've had quotes from him quite recently.
Really like it was Jonathan, but I don't know Jonathan names. Anyway, here's the story, Rob. An animal rescue centre. Now, it's interesting. They used to be known as a safari park. Now they're being called an animal rescue centre. What are they?
Well, no, they went through a stage. No, hang on. They went through a stage of it was a bird of prey sanctuary at one stage with other animals. So it's very difficult to categorise, Alex.
Well, it's hit back. It claims it mistreats its huskies after a photo alleging abuse was widely shared online. Eagle Heights Wildlife Foundation in Ainsford were responding to an image circulating on social media which appears to show one of its huskies next to a dirty and broken water bowl. I mean, I'm looking at it now. So basically, like a kind of a plastic crate. It looks like it's like the edge of a plastic crate which has been turned over, made into a water bowl, but it's all kind of, the plastic is all sort of torn around the side, so you could quite easily cut yourself on it. I'm not so sure. It's not, it's not like we're looking at an emaciated husky being beaten up. It's a shitty water bowl. That's
what I was going to ask. I was going to ask whether it underfed or malnourished, but evidently not.
The not-for-profit organisation, and I love this response, Rob, just reminds me of way back in the day with the cheetah attack. And if anybody who wants to know, Alan Ames' response to that was, I don't know what people are expecting. It's not like somebody got their arms ripped off by a gorilla. That was after somebody was attacked and mauled by a cheetah. The not-for-profit context. This, Rob, I am telling you that these quotes, Alan has been consulted. These are his words. They sound like him. The not-for-profit organisation admits that while it, in quotes, is not ideal, it has to change the water often, and it does believe the dogs are happy. In a post online, Eagle Heights,
okay, good.
Eagle Heights explained, in quotes, this photo is currently circulating on social media, misinforming people that our animals are mistreated. The lovely boy in this photo is Odin. Odin is a gent, but he does love a chew. As you can see from his water container, he and his friend Coco also like to splash. They do this in their water bowl. In fact, some days you would think they're two toddlers playing in a paddling pool. They absolutely love it. The person that posted this photo and encouraged almost 1,000 of her followers to share its claims we're mistreating our huskies by allowing them to chew their water container and splash about happily. For anyone that isn't aware, these are rescued working dogs. They do not want a fluffy bed or a china bowl with their name on it. This is Alan Ames, Rob. This is Alan Ames. It always gets aggressive, aggressive and accusatory.
Well, it's interesting that they already sort of. I don't know. It seems like quite a contradiction because first they've referred to them as like being like toddlers, and now they've said they're working dogs. They deserve to be outside.
Let me read this quote again. This is, Steve, you've brought me a lot of joy. For anyone that isn't aware, these are rescued working dogs. They do not want a fluffy bed or a china bowl with their name on it. They want a bundle of fresh straw and the freedom to express their behaviours without being confined to domestic demands. They walk miles every day with our staff, pull rigs, and even go on adventures up mountains and across counties in the keeper's spare time. Sorry.
What?
Where are the mountains in Kent, Rob? If there are mountains in Kent, I need to visit them. Sorry, where are they? Well, let's go through this carefully. So,
first of all, why are they sleeping on straw? And second of all, why are they pulling... So, hang on.
They're pulling rigs.
Are they offering like dog sled rides around Kent?
They walk miles every day with our staff, pull rigs, and even go on adventures up mountains and across counties in the keeper's spare time. Where are these mountains in Kent? Are there mountains in Kent, Rob? I'm just checking. I don't believe there are.
You can go to the South Downs, I suppose. That's not too far away.
But are they mountains? They're not. But Rob, they're not mountains, are they?
No, I describe them more as a hill. Yeah.
The foundation insists its huskies are both happy and well suited to the environment they are now in. It says the dogs did not enjoy house life, with some having destroyed entire kitchens out of boredom. How many kitchens have they got? Anyway.
Well, a lot less now.
It has now received messages from people saying something nobody, Rob, no animal rescue charity ever wants to hear. Centre, sorry. It has received messages from people saying, The RSPCA has been informed. Now, that would send shivers up anybody's spine, Rob. I mean, that crack team of that SWAT team going to break through down the doors in the middle of the night, torches blaring, the rat-a-tat-tat of machine guns.
We know full well that they'll send their best men that will be with them in what, 4 to 5 years, I'd say.
Yeah. In response, Eagle Heights has said, now, Rob, Rob, you know when you have a cult, yeah? And the police hang on, wait. Yeah. You know you have a cult in the middle of a desert, right? They're all like they're all bunkered down, right? And the police are all on their way. You know, like in one of these American Netflix documentaries or whatever. And then they double down, and it becomes like this standoff that ends in a lot of bloodshed and death, right? Or like a sort of. Well, Rob, listen to the response from Eagle Heights.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
We are more than happy to welcome them and any other animal welfare association. We can't help but think, though, this is a gross waste of their time and resources. Rob, this is war. We are licensed. We are regularly inspected. Our animal welfare officer has praised us. Has often praised us on putting the nature of their breed first and designing a unique and meaningful life for them. We do not wish to create any more drama. However, we do need to protect our name and reputation, as this photo is being shared with captions such as disgusting, poor babies, and, in quotes, do not visit this place.
Alex, is there going to be an armed standoff with the RSPCA?
Rob, Steve, this is as good as the early stories. Let me read this again. We do not wish to create any more drama. However, we do need to protect our name and reputation, as this photo is being shared with captions such as, in quotes, disgusting, poor babies, and do not visit this place. As a not-for-profit organisation, just like Local Anaesthetic, it says it does not get anything from its work other than pure joy and satisfaction, so to deal with false mistreatment allegations is utterly heartbreaking. Rob, false mistreatment allegations is the episode title.
Fair enough.
Its Facebook post added, if you see this being shared and you feel any questions arise or you want to speak to one of the keepers, please message us or come and visit. We welcome any question. We're very proud of what we've achieved here in over 26 years. To those that already knew the above, we thank you for your wonderful support. The RSPCA said they have not received any reports relating to Eagle Heights.
Oh, okay. Whatever. That surprises me.
We've got one comment. It's by Oh Yes She Did, who wrote, Eagle Heights has been in Ainsford forever. What's disgusting is that nobody can tarnish the good name and hard work of the charity. Too many too quick to rush to social media to air their grievances rather than seek better solutions, in this instance raising concerns with a member of staff who I'm sure would have been happy to try and put them at ease. That's written by Eagle Heights, isn't it, Rob?
To say that. Signed Mr. A. Ames, Nairobi.
We should say that this is a listener story special, but one thing that all our listeners might want to know is that Rob and I, for the Patreon episode, which will be... Do you know what episode the Patreon's going to be, Rob? Local Anaesthetic Podcast, an extra jab, episode...
32.
32, right? That sounds about right. It's also going to be a listener story special because we've got so many to get through. So if you want more of this, hop on over to the Patreon afterwards, patreon.com/LAPodcast extra. And if you're not a Patreon member already, sign up there and get all those lovely episodes there, including more listener stories because we've got so many, Rob. They're fantastic. Who have you got, Rob? Who's next up on the playlist?
So this is from Khyber. For a paper I've never heard of before. Now, before I get into the story, I just want to give a quick trigger warning. If you are eating, you may want to either pause the podcast and return to it later, or just put down your fork / sausage roll. This is going to get a bit graphic, so just be prepared for that. So,
Rob, if it just eats, is it just eating? Or would it put people off other things? For example, love making. And I've often wondered, has anybody ever made love to this podcast? If they have, do let us know. And how was it?
I mean, if you do make love to this podcast, I think you probably got, there's things you really should be asking.
What about self-love?
About your sexual preferences.
What about self-love, Rob?
Self-love is fine. Yeah, if our voices get you off, I'm delighted to be able to help.
Otherwise known as a ham. What was it? A ham shanker. What was it? A ham?
Something like that. Yeah. A spam handy. So.
I like that, Rob. I like that. Can we
so do I.
A spam handy, yeah.
A spam handy. So the newspaper is called the Olive Press, which apparently is Spain's leading expat newspaper.
The Olive Press. Oh, very clever.
Yes.
Clever.
Yeah. It was launched in 2006. If anyone was interested, so there we go.
Sorry, are we going to talk about how Khyber has come across this? Because the length to which he goes, Rob, to find us stories is incredible. But how on earth would he even come across this? You would think,
Alex. I feel that you've covered more. I mean, absolutely, but I also feel you've covered in more bizarre publications like
not more bizarre.
Entrepreneur.
Not the more bizarre than an expat newspaper in Spain. Come on, Khyber should get some sort of award for that.
Possibly. I mean, Alex, you can't dispute the figures. They've got at least 27,000 followers on Facebook.
Wow.
I don't know why it's got a rundown of all their social media accounts. Only 17 followers on TikTok though, so I can't imagine that a lot of expats are on TikTok.
I did want to say to you,
to their
Rob,
age,
that to raise the profile of this podcast, we really probably should start using TikTok as a medium. So if you could do some sort of twerking videos, and I think try and direct some traffic our way.
Yeah. I'll just put a link to my OnlyFans page.
Yeah. What was it? What, Spam Handy?
Spam Handy, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Experiments for spam. Anyway, so the story is by Dilip Kuna from the 2nd of January. 2nd of January, okay. 2022. And the headline is Ratatouille. Nice pun. Man bites into rat's head lurking in the veg while dining in southern Spain.
So, did he do this deliberately or was it an accident? And even then, I mean...
No, it was an accident, Alex. I mean...
But how would that happen? How are you eating a rat's head?
Spain.
Okay, right, okay.
Well, we'll find out. They're not savages. We're not talking about, I don't know. No, do you know what? I'm not going to just besmirch to the country just for the sake of it.
No.
So... A man in Malaga tucked into the meal of beans and potatoes noticed something wrong when one mouthful seemed a bit too crunchy for veg.
Oh, sorry.
So Juan Jose, I mean, that is his name, it's not made up. So Juan Jose, DM, not sure what the DM stands for, from Malaga, spat out the offending morsel only to find it was a rat's head that had apparently been lurking about in a bag of frozen vegetables. Juan... who does want his full name disclosed. Oh, that's okay. So apparently Jose is his middle name. That makes more sense. Has now lodged a complaint with the Carrefour supermarket where his wife had brought the offending veg and informed the Consumer Affairs Department of the Junta de Andalucia.
Rob, let's think about this a second.
Yes.
I'm assuming the wife cooked the meal just from putting it together. If she did... she would have noticed a rat's head in the vegetables. I don't think this is an error in the factory. I think she put it in there, Rob. She's had enough of it.
Alex, you're wrong, because it was actually Juan who was cooking the meal.
Well, then why didn't he notice a rat's head in his vegetables then? What's wrong with him? If I'm cook, would you not notice that? Rob, if you're cooking up some frozen mixed veg, you're not going to notice a rat's head sitting there.
Well, Alex, we're coming on to this. We come on to this point now, really. So Juan claimed he had picked up a bag of frozen peas and potatoes that his wife had brought 3 days earlier. Reading the cooking instructions and pouring the contents into a saucepan, I noticed a slightly darker piece, but I thought it might be an artichoke that got mixed in by accident.
So a rat's head would be quite obvious, wouldn't it? I mean, you got the ears, you got the whiskers.
Well, Alex, he thought it was an artichoke.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thinking nothing more of it, he took a spoonful, but soon noticed something strange. It was hard and crunchy. Speaking to El Confidente, he said, I spat it out. I spat it out. At first, I didn't know what it was, but when I turned over, I saw 2 eyes looking at me and whiskers. I got up and went to vomit.
Sorry, if I'm cooking vegetables, you're going to notice that. Did he not ever... do you know what I mean? What's wrong with him?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean... yeah, all well and good if you think it was an artichoke, but surely you'd notice that it was slightly estranged shape artichoke.
I said to you, I cooked up some burgers at home over the weekend, and then when I chewed down into my burger, I found a rat's head in with the burger and the bun. You'd say to me, well, how did you not notice this in the preparation? That's my point.
Yes,
right?
True. Yeah, I can't disagree
Maybe
with
he
you.
planted the rat's head there for attention, or maybe there was never a rat's head. What about that?
That's a very spurious allegation you're making there. Why would you do that, Alex?
Well, I don't know. So he could be in this very popular newspaper, the Olive Press.
Yeah, maybe. It was a head of a rat, I don't know why you're saying that again, you've already told us that, with a perfect cut on its neck. It's the most disgusting thing that's ever happened to me in my life, said Juan, who has decided to report his unpleasant discovery to the consumer service of the Andalusian regional government after lodging a complaint with the customer service department of Carrefour, which is the supermarket. I can't face eating anything. Since then, I've been living on herbal teas and yogurt.
That's not good for you. Man.
As you would.
So he's wasting away, is he? Albeit healthily.
No, Alex. Yeah, exactly. He's wasting away, but loving every minute. Well, not loving every minute of it. Obviously, he ate a rat's head.
Herbal tea and yogurt.
Apart from being unhygienic, it could have been dangerous. I reacted and spat it out, but a child could have choked. That's a very fair point.
Well, an adult could have choked as well. I don't understand what he means.
Also a good point. These events occurred on Monday, and the same afternoon, Juan went to the supermarket in the shopping centre in Rishon de la Victoria, where his wife brought the bag of frozen food on Christmas Eve. Oh God,
Rob, do we think
she
slipped the rat's head into the frozen food?
What as a festive jape?
No, not as a jape. I think she's pissed off with him about. So she's had enough, and so she's still sure you can eat a rat's head.
Quite possibly, yeah. He went to the customer service department and explained what happened to him. The employee who attended to me couldn't believe it. She said she didn't want to see the photographs I'd taken on my phone. She didn't even want to see the head.
Stop showing me photos of a severed rat's head, you weirdo.
Finally, he called a supervisor who initially couldn't believe what I was telling him, so I took the head out and put it on the counter. He told me someone in the company would call me back. That's the end of the article, Alex. I'm guessing no one called him.
I'm surprised the police didn't turn up. But, it could be perceived as quite threatening. Slamming a rat's head down on the counter in a supermarket. Rob, all this makes me of this talk of sort of fine cuisine makes me think of Orlando's in Norwich. Because did you mean to say anything about it on the podcast? Did you want to? Because you sent me something.
I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Yes, no, please feel free to mention it.
No, can you mention it? Because you'll probably better remember it than I will.
Oh, sure. So Amy, I'm not entirely sure how she came across it, but on Facebook, apparently Orlando, I can't remember his second name now, but he has a Facebook page where he was advertising that he has a Japanese restaurant, which is the thing he spent many years denying. Obviously, in various iterations, he was also had a bed and breakfast, which I thought was all legit, but apparently he's gone back to his main love, and was basically advertising his home address, his telephone number, and inviting people to come and sample. But still, he's not even cooking it himself. But still, he's got a Japanese chef apparently.
He's still claiming it's not a restaurant, so he doesn't have to.
No, he was very much claiming it is a restaurant now. So I don't know whether something has changed, but obviously we've had those fantastic reviews that imply that the restaurant is just in his living room and there's a member of his family that just sits in the corner watching TV shows.
Rob, maybe that's what's happened here. Maybe ego and pride has got in the way. So at the beginning, right, he was running this restaurant out of his house but didn't want to claim it was a restaurant for tax purposes and everything else, right? So he claimed it wasn't a restaurant. But then when people started visiting it and complaining about that it was just basically, a table and chair stuck in his front room and wasn't really a restaurant, he got offended and was like, no, it absolutely is a restaurant. I think that's what's happened here.
Well, it's very bizarre, but either way, he seems very proud of the food that are being sold in his in his house. There's no two ways about that. It is a house on a residential street. But if you're there, if you're in the beautiful city of Norwich, why not pop along to Orlando's and get an authentic Japanese Norfolk meal?
No rat's heads. No idea. Included in this.
No rat's heads, as far as we're aware. But look, Alex, let's move on from this onto my next story. So this was sent in by Steve, who obviously is already featured on this podcast. This again is a bit of a bad news animal story, but it's from the Oxford Mail, from the 28th of August by Liam Rice. Hedgehog found taped to lamppost in Drayton, Oxfordshire.
Sorry. I heard hedgehog and lamppost. My mind was still thinking of Orlando's, but I think there's something quite sickening in there. Say that again.
Hedgehog found taped to lamppost in Drayton, Oxfordshire.
Did it tape itself? Did other hedgehogs tape it, or were humans involved?
I think that, Alex, I'm concerned that we may have another spate of...
Oh, God.
My concern is there might be another cat kill on the loose. Well, in this case, and it
was only recently, Rob, that I was mentioning Tiggy Winkle's farm, Miss Tiggy Winkle's farm, which, of course...
Very true, Alex. Yeah. So, a hedgehog was found taped to a lamppost with concerns expressed over the other reports on the mammals locally. The hedgehog was discovered stuck to a lamppost in Abingdon Road, Drayton, on Friday afternoon. Laura Hughes posted online, "Whoever's done this to this hedgehog along the Abingdon Road should be ashamed. People appall me sometimes. I think it's important this behaviour is called out and made public, but I think it's a horrible photo. It was particularly horrible in person too, especially for my 9-year-old who was at eye level with it."
Rob, is there a picture of it? I know that the sort of...
There is a picture,
okay,
Alex.
so
yes,
shall I just put in hedgehog taped to lamppost?
I think you put hedgehog lamppost, it probably should come up. I think what's happened is...
I've got the Oxford Mail. Is that what you've got?
That's the story.
Oh my God. Sorry, was it dead or not?
No, it was alive.
But I don't understand. There's so much... How is it still alive? I can't even see a hedgehog, just a mound of tape. How did it survive under all of that?
I don't know.
It's only its back leg sticking out, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know whether there's like an air hole around the other side or the hedgehogs moved.
When they say tape, we're talking probably about a good whole roll of sellotape, otherwise known as Scotch tape. That's the brand, though, to be honest. Although sellotape's a brand name as well, isn't it, Rob? Both are.
They are, Alex. I think you could say sticky tape, which is obviously the choice that Blue Peter used to make.
No, I won't.
Yeah. Okay. So Miss Hughes has reported the incident to Thames Valley Police and described the situation as worrying. I hate to say this, Alex, but I think Thames Valley Police have bigger fish to fry. I don't think this is a priority for them. What she should have done, as we rightly know, is called the RSPCA.
And again, their crack team would have been... I mean, I just do want to describe for listeners, we're talking about a pretty typical looking lamppost with a lot of tape round it, with a bulbous shape, which is a hedgehog trapped inside, and all that you can see sticking out of the sellotape is its arse and what appears to be one leg. And a little tail.
Yeah, that's fair. She told this paper, "My concern is that animal cruelty is known to lead to other serious offences. Whilst I doubt the person responsible for it will be found, it may be helpful to police.
Yeah. Rob,
helpful to the police.
Stop.
If there's a pattern of behaviour going on."
Yeah, we covered this a long time ago, didn't we? The graduation theory of killing. So one would expect that after this, they will maybe take a dog and tape that to a lamppost. Then maybe something like a llama. Eventually, it'll be an elephant, Rob. And it will keep graduating up, you know.
Yeah. Commenting online, other people suggest that hedgehogs have been found mutilated in Berensfield, 7.5 miles away. So, Alex, it may have already started, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say. Can I just finish off this article by just saying what I like is they've got a short bio of the journalist.
Right.
So the story was written by Liam Rice. He joined the team in 2019 as media reporter. Liam covers politics, travel and transport, and he occasionally covers Oxford United. Obviously, scum as a Swindon supporter, as I am. You can get in touch with him. It gives his email address and also his Twitter handle. So that's nice.
Right. The new thing local news is doing, is it?
Apparently so, yeah. Yeah, I think, Alex, I feel a lot better if I know more about my journalists. If I know where they live, if I know what their interests are, like a dating profile, I feel that I'm more connected to that paper.
Okay, Rob, let's finish up now. So we don't have our listener story of the week because it's been a listener story special, but what we do have, Rob, is a new listener, so I always like to finish these on this. This is from Kate in Tunbridge Wells. Thank you, Kate. We'd love to have you here. Join the Patreon. Now, I don't know where she found it. This is from I think it's a South African newspaper. It's iol.co.za. So ZA, that would be, I think, South African. Why do I feel
I don't know.
What is, let's find out. What is, it's not the domain name for Tunbridge Wells, is it? What?
I don't think so, Alex, no. I think that's .gb, isn't it?
South Africa, I'm absolutely right. Yeah. .co.za is South Africa. It's the top level domain for South Africa. So maybe Kate hails from South Africa, we'll never know. It's by Jehran Naidu, It's an extraordinary story. And people can watch the video. I watched a bit of it, but I had to turn off. Taiwanese retirement home hires stripper to entertain residents.
Well, Alex, look, they may be in the
twilight years.
The twilight of their years. Yeah. So why? And you never know. They may still be sexually active. Why not just get some titillation? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but unless somebody's there, Rob, to dispense the spam handies,
the hand cream.
No. Unless somebody, what I mean, couldn't it just lead to frustration?
Well, Alex, they're probably frustrated about a lot of things. It's just one more thing to add to the list.
I've never really understood this. Maybe you can tell me, Rob. You're a man of the world,
right?
I've never understood the appeal of going to a strip club. I'm not even talking from a moral perspective. Let's just talk about it purely from a sexual perspective. If I was going to dabble in the sex trade or whatever in that world, wouldn't I just be better off paying to see, a lady of the night, rather than going to see a stripper, which surely is going to, presumably, if I'm there for the purpose of seeing this thing that I feel will give me some kind of sexual titillation, it will arouse me, but with no, what's the word I'm trying to say? No
payoff.
Yeah, no gratification, essentially. So isn't it, I would have just thought it's a bit of a strange experience. Can you explain?
Well,
or is it about power? Is it really about power? Is it about feeling like, I'm a man and I'm paying to watch a woman take off her clothes? Because she's the one really in charge there, really.
Well, yeah, true. Are you indicating that I've been to a strip club? Is that what you're trying to say to me?
I imagine you probably have. I think we've talked about it on the podcast before.
Yeah, I think I have. I'm sure I've talked about I think the most famous of my most famous, bloody hell. I have been to a few. Usually not through choice.
I thought you went. You told me you went to that one last week above the Greg's.
No, that was just a collection of like-minded people, Alex, who choose to then get naked. So there used to be quite a famous strip club that I frequented. Again, not often through choice. Called ST1s.
You've told this story. You've told this story. The STIs.
I've definitely told this story. Yeah.
But so tell me then, what I'm saying is it a gratifying experience?
Not really. No. I don't really understand it. They are what they are very seedy, quite dirty places, and unfortunately, it has that kind of toxic masculinity lads culture associated with them. I don't. Yeah, you always. I was always ill at ease in them. It's not the kind of place you casually go for a drink, for instance.
But were you aroused, Rob?
Alex, I'm not going to get to that on the podcast. I mean, to be fair, I'm normally aroused at the best of times, but on that particular occasion, no, I wasn't.
Have you visited prostitutes?
No, I haven't. No.
Right.
No, Alex, I can say with a clear conscience, I've never visited a prostitute.
Okay. Right, Durban.
Ladyboys, on the other hand.
Durban, an exotic dancer was filmed strutting her stuff in pink and black lingerie at a retirement home in Taiwan after the management hired her to entertain its elderly residents. The Taiyuan Veterans Home in Taiwan asked the dancer to put on a show for the residents, most of whom were in wheelchairs. The home is a state-run facility for retired army vets.
Right. Alex, well, even better now. They've served their country. This is how we can repay them.
Yeah. The management hired the dance as part of celebrations for the Mid-Autumn Festival known as the Moon Festival, a traditional Chinese festival that pays homage to the wheat and rice harvest. But the facility later issued an apology after a video of the September 8th performance, which you can watch on Twitter, posted online by a member of the audience, got some social media users hot under the collar. The veterans, however, were not complaining. In the clip, they appeared to be having the time of their lives. One of them was seen fondling the stripper as she serenaded him. The dancer adhered to COVID-19 safety regulations, wearing a mask during the routine. The intention of the event was...
That's weird.
A spokesperson said the intention of the event was to entertain residents, make them happy. We're very sorry for the offence that was caused, the retirement home said. So I'm torn. Would I want to be in a retirement home where there were strippers or not? I feel like maybe I just prefer to be sedated and given some peach cobbler and sort of a box set of Last of the Summer Wine to ease me off to that eternal sleep that we call death.
When you say ease you off, you mean to death, not. Right. Alex, I'm going to say it. I don't know why people are offended. If the stripper got paid, if she was happy, if the veterans were happy, what's the problem here?
Yeah. Well, Rob, I'd expect that from you with your liberal, anti-moral outlook.
Look, Alex, but I'm not the one talking about easing people off in care homes, so,
Well, on that note, that brings us to an end of another brilliant, Rob, listener story special. And because we've got so much to cover, we're going to be extending this, if you like, on into our next LA podcast, An Extra Jab, which will be episode 32, as Rob said earlier. Now, if you're not a Patreon member, it's very simple. You go to patreon.com, that's patreon.com/LA Podcast Extra. And from there you can find our other podcast, our sister podcast, if you like. It's called LA Podcast, An Extra Jab, which is, well, what it sounds like. It's an extra jab of even more content. Slightly different format. Rob and I can be a couple of stories we might not always be able to cover on this podcast. We love doing it. And it's £2 a month, and there you get 2 episodes every month straight to your inbox. They can't be found anywhere else. They're exclusive to Patreon. But also, if you sign up now, you get access to the back catalogue on there. You get all 31 previous episodes, and Rob has stuck every episode of our ill-fated podcast, Daft Talk, which only closed down, not due to any quality control issues. It was an excellent podcast. People loved it. But because Yahoo Answers, which is the medium which we covered in Daft Talk, was closed down, really due to the increasing wokeness of our society, Rob. It wasn't seen as a viable business model anymore, Rob, was it?
No, unfortunately not, no.
But thank you for listening, everybody. We've really enjoyed your company. We're on our website, lapodcast.net. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LAPodcast. We're on Twitter, @LAPodcast. We're on Spotify. We're everywhere. We have really enjoyed your company. We really enjoy your listener submissions. They make our week. Keep them coming. God bless.
And keep it local.
Local Anesthetic Podcast is on Patreon, so go to patreon.com/LA Podcast Extra for access to our exclusive bonus episodes. You won't find them anywhere else. Here's a preview of what's coming up on the next LA Podcast, An Extra Jab. Headline: Food factory staff claim they got sausage bap instead of break for Queen's funeral.
That sounds fine to me, Alex. I mean, who doesn't enjoy a nice sausage bap on occasions?
Nigel Farage gin sparks Cornish controversy. Now, did you ever watch the video I sent you, his advert, which is 4 minutes, and like an Alan Partridge extra? It's absolutely brilliant.
I did watch another video of Nigel Farage, which again relates to the Queen's funeral. So basically, it was him giving his condolences and obviously speaking about her, the legacy that she was leaving.
With the one with the fag. You can see there's a fag.
He quite clearly had a fag in his hand, because occasionally you just see this waft of smoke just rising up. I mean, brilliant. What a touch of class that man is. Chess master denies using sex toys to help him win championship as game hit by scandal. So up-and-coming star Hans Neilman has sensationally accused online of using anal beads connected to a computer program that would vibrate.
It's the allegation that he had outside help, so somebody's beaming in vibrations to him depending on what they think the next move should be. So the fifth bead in means move your porn. Not that kind of porn.